I will be answering some of your questions. Number one, why did Hybe release Begins Youth in a new platform instead of more popular platforms like Weverse? Second, what is exclusive? What kind of platform is this anyway? Next, will there be a season 2 of Begins Youth? And also, why is BTS getting into this kind of thing? Why not just concentrate on music? And has anyone ever done something like what BTS is doing with their IPs? If you do end up liking this video, please give it a thumbs up. And of course, subscribe and hit that notification button and share the video if you can. Also, please follow me on Patreon and on X and on Twitter and on Instagram. All right, on to the video. Does BTS earn from Begins Youth? Yes, any work derived from anything they created will benefit them. They definitely earned from that. Now, there are different ways on how they could have earned. One, they could have gotten a fixed amount, or they could have gotten shares from the streaming, or both. They could have gotten a fixed amount and then get shares from streaming, but usually, not always, the streaming platform will keep the earnings until they recover their initial investments. So it really depends on how Big Hit or Hybe structured the agreement. But why did Big Hit release it in exclusive and not on free TV or other more popular streaming platforms like Netflix or Amazon Prime? The series was produced by Big Hit. Now, if they wanted to air it on Netflix or other streaming platforms like Amazon Prime, that means they would have had to offer it to those streaming platforms. And maybe they did try, but maybe no one bought it, which is probably next to impossible given that this is BTS. But before I proceed, let me just make it clear, I am not working for Hybe or Big Hit. I don't know anybody there, so most of the things that I'm saying are just based on the usual business practices on how things get to streaming platforms. Now, the most obvious option is for Big Hit to just show it on Weverse. That means they would have gotten all the earnings to themselves. But they didn't do that. That means there is something more compelling than them getting the earnings directly. So what could that be? Maybe they could be getting more earnings directly. This is pure speculation again, but Hybe doesn't seem to own Finger Labs, which owns Exclusive, the platform where you can watch Begins Youth. The most likely reason is that Exclusive bought the rights to Begins Youth for the right price. Exclusive is blockchain based. Now we all know that's where Hybe is going. They are going to move everything into the blockchain. Now, in terms of end user experience, it shouldn't matter much to us. It should feel like watching from Netflix or any other streaming platform. But this could mean a world of difference for the content creator, which is Big Hit and Hybe. I won't go into the details of the technicalities of a blockchain, but I'll do that on Patreon. One of the best features of blockchain is seeing how a user interacts with the content. That's just one of the many benefits, okay? Now, the amount of data that they can get from a platform like Exclusive could, of course, make a difference in how they will develop future content. So this could even be more valuable to Hybe than just getting the money. We all know that Hybe, as I've said, and pretty much the rest of the world, are headed towards using the blockchain and everything that comes with it, including the metaverse, NFTs, which a lot of people hate, but do know that banks are already using the blockchain and are starting to use NFTs. Just to be clear, NFTs aren't just digital art. Now, if you're using banks or any kind of cash app, you are either already or will be using the blockchain and will soon be using NFTs. Now, with Hybe partnering with Exclusive, they could be learning more about what they can do to improve things in how they develop their content and how they will design their platform to give end users better experience or maybe buy Exclusive someday. Will Begins Youth be released in other platforms? Now, before I proceed, there is a spoiler alert. So if you don't want to know anything about Begins Youth, stop watching now. However, if you've already seen the series, you would know that the ending introduces Begins Infinite Youth. So it looks like there will be more content based on the Bangtan universe. I think that whatever they learned from the first season will definitely be applied on the succeeding seasons or maybe even a movie, and also in terms of content and distribution. Now let's talk about BTS IP. Let's pull out a little bit. We all know that majority of musicians' earnings usually come from the sales of their CD, touring, and brand deals. Tours and brand deals have a shorter shelf life because eventually musicians will slow down because of life and, of course, health. They can't tour as actively as they used to. And brands will eventually gravitate towards younger artists. That's why many artists aim to create a brand or a business. Two of the most successful ones are Rihanna and Jay-Z. If you would notice, Beyonce, at least nowadays, she's actually more visible than Jay-Z, or maybe we can even say more popular mainstream, but her net worth is barely half of Jay-Z. That is because Jay-Z is in the business side of things now. He has a label, real estate, and the other investments. Rihanna, on the other hand, started a brand with Fenty. In fact, she's so successful there that she actually stopped creating music. BTS is headed towards that direction, but with some tweaks. And definitely an eye on the future. BTS and Big Hit developed a lot of intellectual properties, which they are slowly turning into brands. On top of the list, of course, their discography. They also have BT21, Tiny Tan, their manhwa Seven Fate Chacos, Bangtan Universe, and by BTS merch brand. If done right, these brands will live beyond the career of BTS. Quite frankly, that's what you want. They've spent their youth doing music, building their own image. They should be able to continue earning even when they choose to slow down. But what will they do with these IPs? They already turned some into brands and they will continue turning others into brands. We have already seen a sample of what they intend to do with BT21, Tiny Tan, and Bangtan Universe. Bangtan Universe is now a drama, and BT21 continues to release content and release new types of merchandise. I think the effort is to develop all these IPs into independent brands that people will follow beyond BTS. For example, eventually BT21 characters should be standalone brands or characters the same way Hello Kitty is not tied to any celebrity. BT21 should be something like that. And they have been doing that. They have been developing BT21 characters as independent animated characters. They've been releasing merchandise and new products without really needing BTS to promote them. Bangtan Universe should also become a story that will attract viewers based on the quality of the story, not just because they are stories based on BTS's songs. Think Harry Potter. From a book, they develop movies, merchandise, theme parks, and others. All those are streams of income, and the creator J.K. Rowling benefits from that. She doesn't really do anything in promoting that, but because she created it, then she earns from it. The future. One thing we need to consider is how we will consume content. 10 or maybe even 5 years from now will be very, very different. Remember that just 4 years ago, we were still going to movie theaters. Just 20 years ago, people were protesting streaming, and now no one is buying CDs. They just want to stream. Just 10 years ago, people were renting movies from Redbox or Blockbuster. My point being, things that people were swearing up and down to never support have become the default. So we also need to accept that the things that we know now will change. Trends, quite simply, change. The way we do things change. While boomers and Xers know the value of handshake, younger generations value likes and follows. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. social media will evolve. The way that we use and consume content will evolve. The way that we enjoy entertainment and art will evolve. It used to be about having your own page that people visit on Facebook. Now it's about getting into the feed so that when people scroll, they can see you and your content. It used to be about an 8-minute video on YouTube. Now it's a 1-minute video on TikTok. So BTS IPs and brands will have to develop with the future in mind. And what is that future? I am going to discuss that on Patreon. I've mentioned before that you guys seem to have a violent reaction with the mere mention of blockchain, metaverse, and NFTs. So I'm just going to do it in Patreon with a more controlled audience. Hardly anyone has done this before. There have been K-pop artists or musicians who have managed to create a brand that outlasted their career. But many of them did it the Rihanna way. They went into fashion or put up a cafe or some sort of a business. BTS created IPs from their music and directly created characters and developed them into brands. That guaranteed the initial audience, and then they are slowly expanding the audience of these IPs and brands. We will, of course, not truly know how successful these brands are going to be until BTS slows down and the brands they created go off on their own. But if BT21 is any indication, I think the brands are going to be fine. Okay, I hope that you found that useful. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope I provided value to you. So if you have anything to add, anything to correct, please leave them in the comment section below. I appreciate all your suggestions, the topics that you're asking me to cover. Please keep them coming. Appreciate them a lot. So if you ended up liking this video, please give it a thumbs up. Of course, subscribe and hit that notification button and share the video if you can. Also, you can follow me on any of the social media links that you see on your screen right now, especially on Patreon. There is a free membership, so don't worry. Also, follow me on X or on Twitter and on Instagram. I am going to start sharing with you some of the exciting works that I'm doing. Thank you. Appreciate y'all.